Blackburn. Senator Blackburn, you're recognized for your questions.
Thank you so much, and thank you all for being here for the hearing. I appreciate it. Mr. Mulvanon, I want to come to you, and let's talk a little bit about what you refer to as the deterrence hole regarding China, noting that deterrence can involve denial and hardening networks, or it can involve punishment, which really relies on that retaliation from credible threats. So you talk about deterrence by punishment maybe being more effective, but we're looking at an increase in these threats and attacks, and you all just touched on that with Senator Welch. So as we look at a new administration coming in, talk to me a little bit about lessons learned. And you're just saying we know how to do this, and that's why it's frustrating. So drill down on that. What can we look at with a cyber deterrence posture? What opportunities would be there for cyber diplomacy and offensive capabilities, and things that would actually discourage our adversaries from trying to carry out the attacks in the first place?
Thank you, Senator. I want to be clear that obviously we should do everything we can on the defensive side to bolster deterrence through denial by not making it easy for the adversary to get in the network. The key issue that I often run into when talking to people about this is a belief that there is a silver bullet out there. There is a technology, there is a U.S. vendor that has a piece of hardware or a piece of software that is the answer, and therefore there are going to be no more intrusions. But unfortunately, the nature of the cyber domain is such that the offense is always outpacing the defense. So my point is deterrence through denial is impossible to be the only solution. It has to be paired with deterrence through punishment. We have done a lot of deterrence through denial, through equipment upgrades and software upgrades. Deterrence through punishment, in the case of China, is not something that we have pursued. We have done it on a limited basis with the Russians. We've done it with lesser powers. We've seen real impact from it. But it is, as you suggest, Senator, a range of things. First and foremost is a declaratory policy. A declaratory policy that draws a line that you can defend. Now, often our declaratory policy in cyber is something pretty anodyne along the lines of the United States government reserves the right at a time and place of its own choosing to respond to a cyber attack against a U.S. target with the full measure of U.S. national power. It's not that we haven't said it out loud that's the problem. It's that we haven't backed it up. Okay. And what that means is when we have attacks like the attack against Sony, the attack against GitHub, the attack, Volt, Flax, and Salt Typhoon, the world is awaiting understanding what our response is going to be and whether we are going to impose costs in any potential realm. What we know doesn't work is naming and shaming. We know that listing the operators and putting them out on an Interpol red notice does not do anything. We know that talking to them about it alone doesn't do anything. One area where we did have frankly, some very positive results was when the Obama administration put out an executive order ascribing cyber sanctions to Chinese state-owned enterprise executives and others that financially benefited from Chinese commercial cyber espionage. Because we were touching people that were actually directly connected to the leadership. Right. I'm a big follow the money guy in that sense. But at the end of the day, there are things we can do in this symmetrical domain where we can actually signal to the Chinese in cyber that we are holding capabilities that they have at risk. We can do it in a gray way that is not publicly visible so that they don't feel that international reputational shame, feel like they have to respond in order to defend national dignity. But they nonetheless will get the message that, in fact, there will be costs in the future if they do something like that again.
Right. Thank you. Mr. Sherman, I have a question for you dealing with the undersea cables and the way the U.S. is relying on foreign repair ships to go in. And of course, we're concerned about the Chinese vessels that are dragging anchors to cut these cables. And I will let you submit this since I am running out of time. But I would like to get what you think about investing in a subsea cable repair and what we should be doing there in order to make certain that we are protecting the undersea cables. But since I'm out of time, let's submit that one for the record. Thank you all.
Thank you, Senator Blackburn.